This is a story about Jimmy. Jimmy is a regular 14-year-old boy. He procrastinates on all his projects. He misses a show, Megas XLR. And he goes to icanhascheeseburger.com when no one's looking. After getting this assignment, he promptly forgets about it until the day before it is due. For this project, he has to talk about 3 creativity experts. He arbitrarily picked Edward de Bono, Jim DeLisle, and Mahali Suzuki Mentahali. Each of them are experts in the field of creativity because they were on the sheet we were given at the beginning of the project. Also because de Bono was appointed the Da Vinci Professor of Thinking in 2005, Jim DeLisle has been teaching giftedness and gifted students for 30 years, and Mahali Suzuki Mentahali is the Brain Channels Thinker of the Year, 2000. The report also entailed explaining what these people contributed to giftedness and why that applies to us today. De Bono's major contribution to the world was lateral thinking, which is methods of thinking concerned with changing concepts and perception. Citation needed. This method is applicable to us today in letting us look at problems in different ways, such as trying to write a report creatively. You could do the report as 2 rednecks, a 3-eyed wildebeest that learned English language and gained opposable thumbs, or you could tell it from the perspective of yourself writing the essay. DeLisle is important to us because if Jimmy didn't include 3 names in his report, then he would get points counted off. Also because DeLisle had alternate philosophies than the other experts, in that he believes that all people have their own giftedness and should be catered to that giftedness. For example, a student may be very funny and try to present his essay in a humorous way. We should cater to him by not taking off points off his grade for quoting Wikipedia when it adds to the comical theme of the essay. Mahali Suzuki Mentahali is most well known for his idea of flow, and for his extremely hard to articulate last name. This concept of flow is basically a productive form of TV watching. In flow, a person is in the optimum state of achievement and effectiveness. This state can only be reached under the perfect conditions. The task being completed must be not too hard nor too difficult, the person must be enjoying the task, and the planets must be in alignment. This theory of flow can be used for us today as a means of staying on task and performing quality work. After Jimmy finished part 1, research minimum 8 slides, it was time to start the biography portion, and with lack of a better segue, he used this sentence. The person Jimmy decided to use was Mel Brooks, who was once known as Melvin Kaminsky, which is his birth name. Born in Brooklyn, New York, and made his mark in the Catskills, and any place there's a television screen, movie theater, or a legal movie sharing site. He grew up in a poor family in a Jewish ghetto. He loved his mother, and his father, who died at 34 when Melvin was young. He always loved the limelight and would do anything to grab attention. He didn't have the best education, he hated schoolwork. Most of his comedic experience came from working as a tumbler, which is a Yiddish word, and it means comedian/master of ceremonies in the Catskill Mountains. Everybody loved Brooks because of his easiness to talk to and his comedic mind. He served in World War II as an observer for the artillery. I'm not sure if that meant he was their lookout, or if it meant that he would watch them be artillery. Later, he became known as the first Jew to make a buck off of Hitler by making his movie The Producers. He was a well-known and beloved comedian and writer that went on to write Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs the movie, and Young Frankenstein. One of the obvious problems he endured throughout his life was anti-Semitism. Mel Brooks started to learn what people thought was funny at an early age. He honed his talent for comedy when he was working during the summers in the Catskill Mountains, where he would punctuate the comic's punchlines with rim shots. Once the performing comic got ill, Melvin took the stage in his stead, which was extremely pressuring because at times he would have to fill 2 hours with comedy, sometimes pausing to say, "And here's my impression of Thomas Jefferson," and he would freeze for a second, hoping to get a laugh, while he would think up another joke. His major hindrances were being short and ugly and Jewish. This made it hard to be accepted, but most importantly to get girls. Also, his chosen profession is extremely difficult. With comedy, you never know what people will like and what they won't like. You always have to guess. Then, finally, Jimmy got onto this fourth and final section of his essay. He had to describe how he sees himself. And by the way, he sees himself in the mirror. He pictured himself as being a nerdy beatnik sort of guy with a really dry but spontaneous sense of humor. Some of his gifts are logical reasoning and apparently lateral thinking. In 15 years, Jimmy will either be a programmer or an alien abductee. With any luck, he'll be both at the same time. The obstacles that Jimmy will need to overcome will be his scatterbraininess, his laziness, and his made-up wordiness.